Hey traders, Marcello here, founder of the Day Trading Academy. Today we're talking about the best laptops for traders. We are in the beautiful city of Cairns, Australia. We're delighted to be here, mate. That's my best impression of an Aussie accent. But one of the things, or one of the fallacies I should say, that most people believe is that they need this really fancy computer. This is an Alienware laptop, which is the Dell gaming computers. I recommend Dell 100%. I've always used Dells, and the first time that I switched from a Dell laptop to another, it's been kind of chaotic. So most of the brands are okay. The IBM ThinkPads used to be really good computers. I believe now that's Toshiba's. So Toshibas are good, Acers are good, Asus is good as well. But what I recommend through and through is a Dell computer. You don't need something very, very fancy. This is a 17-inch laptop. It's a little bit bigger than what most people use. This is about as big as you want to get. After you get above a 17-inch laptop, it gets very difficult to carry around. It gets very heavy. Obviously, you know, if you're traveling with a backpack or a suitcase, it gets a little awkward traveling with one that's bigger than 17 inches. So on the high side, you want to get a 17-inch, which I consider to be perfect. Good screen size. You can see a lot of windows. And on the downside, you want to have about a 15-inch laptop. That's about as small as you want to go. You really don't need an extra monitor. I'm going to actually talk about the extra monitors that you can use in a different video, but you don't really need that. In terms of specs, most of the things that we find nowadays are good enough for any trading platform, all right? You most times cannot use a Mac. Most trading platforms, especially on the future side, are mostly only Windows based. So that might be something that you want to look into depending on what you want to trade. So the screen size, minimum 15, maximum 17. The brand, I would highly, highly recommend Dell. Very, very high quality. I've had a lot of experience with them. The specs inside, the processor really doesn't matter, to be honest with you, whether it's a low-end Celeron processor or an i3, i4, i5, third generation. The newer fourth and fifth generation ones are more than fine. Most of the processors nowadays are fine. Memory, on the RAM side, when it comes to the hard drive, not the RAM, you can a small hard drive really is okay. 250 gigs is big enough. I'd recommend you get an SSD drive, not a hard disk, because I did drop my computer by accident and I wasn't able to recover anything. That's when I got this with the SSD drive. So that's the new solid state drives, and most of them come in 100, 200 gigs. So the hard drives really don't need to be that big. The most important thing when it comes to a computer, a laptop I should say, when it comes to trading, is the RAM. Because the platforms that we normally use are very intensive, and obviously they use the RAM to be able to use that. So I would recommend, especially now with Windows 10, minimum 8 or 12 gigs of RAM, but recommended I'd say 16 gigs or higher. I'm still using Windows 7. I'm not going to be using Windows 10 until a few years from now. There's some privacy concerns that I don't like with Windows 10, and also, you know, there's still a little bit of bugs in it, so I'm sticking to Windows 7 for now. And that's pretty much all you need to know. There's the size, the specs, the RAM. You don't really need anything fancy. A standard refurbished computer for $500, $600 honestly would be okay. You don't really need something fancy. And if you guys have a Mac, if your platforms don't work on a Mac, I recommend you just buy a separate computer, because it'll be a lot easier for you guys. So let me know if you guys have any questions. I highly recommend you guys come to Australia. It's beautiful here, and we'll talk to you soon. Ciao.